All right, so welcome back. That's Mac. I'm Brandon. This is a podcast because we have a podcast. Right now, technically, it's called the MVP Podcast. We may get into some changing on that whole name process here soon. But anyway, we've done the intros. We've got that out of the way. Mac, I hear you've got a special guest coming in today to talk some sports and talk some different things about the Metroplex. So who you got for us today?
Got a special guest coming at you live today. It is my dad, Jim Coffey, and gotta play that air horn because
I like the air horn.
I kind of just like it with a little golf. How we doing, Dad?
Doing good. Made it over tonight. Little rain, little cool. Dressed for the weather. It's all good.
Good deal. Glad you made it. You're our first official guest here on this podcast, so we're thankful to have you with us. Tell us. Second episode, man. This is a big one.
Appreciate it.
No, we're trying to hit home runs, right? Like, I mean, this is the second episode. We're already bringing in guests. This is pretty critical right here. So now that you're in, tell us a little bit about yourself and what makes you the obvious best choice for our first guest here on our podcast.
Well, I am officially the Cowboy Apologist. Let there be no confusion. I want to talk a little bit today about why I bleed blue and why I will always bleed blue. Now, don't get me wrong. I was just disappointed the other night when we lost. Well, I may be more disappointed than a lot of people. And for a while there, I was about ready to just wipe the whole slate clean.
Yep.
But done some thinking, and I just remember how I felt.
He got to see them win Super Bowls.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit about.
See them win Super Bowls.
We're going to talk a little bit about my earliest memories and why I'm a Cowboy fan.
I was like 3, 4, 5. Don't even remember that. But I've been a Cowboys fan, and they've been losing every year. But I'm still a Cowboys fan, just like I'm a TCU fan. I didn't go to TCU, but I'm going to wear this every episode, and I'm a horn frog.
It's like the Rangers. You know, I didn't think I would ever in my lifetime see the Rangers win the World Series. It was a great surprise last year. But all those years prior, I was a fan of the Rangers, and I didn't think they were ever going to win. It doesn't matter. They're my team. I follow them.
Yeah.
It's just fun to follow them, and I believe Rangers too. So it was kind of a bonus that they actually won the World Series. So my earliest memory, though, and why I'm a Cowboy fan, a lot of this we'll talk about briefly, is my mom and dad. I used to watch the games with my mom and dad. My first memory as a Cowboy fan was listening on the radio to the Super Bowl, January 16th, 1972, when the Cowboys were playing the Dolphins. They won 24-3. My mom and dad had gone to the Super Bowl party. I was home. My grandma was keeping me by myself. I just remember listening for some reason to that game on the radio. And if y'all seen the highlights, so you know the sack Bob Lilly made where he chased Bob Greasy 20 yard stack. Heard that on the radio. So earliest memory, man.
Think about this. I thought about this. He got to see the Cowboys win the Super Bowl like 3 times out of 5 years.
Yep.
What if, okay, yeah, we don't get to see the Cowboys win the Super Bowl 3 out of the next 5 years, but what if we see the Rangers win the World Series over the next 3 out of the 5 years?
Yeah.
And then my son grows up and doesn't ever get to see the Rangers beat.
Or the Cowboys, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
That'd be kind of cool. But I want the Cowboys to win. Because this is, like Josh Hamilton said, this ain't a baseball town.
Right. It's not. It's absolutely not.
The Hail Mary.
Yeah.
I mean, again, way before y'all's time.
Staubach.
I vividly remember the Hail Mary. Now, here's a funny story about the Hail Mary. Yes.
Staubach to Pearson. Yep.
They were behind at the time. I think they were behind 10-14 against the Vikings.
That's correct.
And it was on a Sunday afternoon, December 28, 1975, and I was at my grandparents' 25th wedding anniversary in a bank, a community room in Boyd, Texas.
Wow.
And a bunch of the uncles were out on the back porch listening to that game. We weren't even watching it. Again, we were listening on the radio. We were all gathered around. One of the reasons I remember this,
he's old, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Uncle Thomas, he was a Vikings fan. So he was all excited because the Vikings were winning. You know, he thought they were going to win. It's down to the wire. And then the Hail Mary.
Cowboys pulled it out.
It was
Captain America to the OG 88.
You know it. All
Yeah.
the women were pissed because all the guys were out back listening to the radio.
Drinking
they were
beers,
thinking
smoking
it was-
cigars.
Yeah, there wasn't. They were. So they were off like thinking, this is the reason the Cowboys are losing. Y'all should be in here with us, not listen to the game. So once they came back and won it, all the guys gave the girls crap,
Hey.
Yeah, Cowboys win. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I've got some very fond memories. Luckily, I'm older than Mac here. I was blessed enough to remember the Super Bowls in the 90s. It was a great time. Back in, I know you can remember this, Jim, back in the 90s, you could send your kid into the store to go buy a pack of cigarettes and no problem, right?
Oh, yeah.
My mom would pull up, she'd say, here's $15, buy me a pack of cigarettes, put the rest in gas in the car. And I'd go in there and I'd buy the pack of cigarettes for my mom, put the rest on the car, and I'd turn around, and on my way out, I remember it vividly. Seagoville, Texas, coming out of the little Cefco that was right there, and there was a Dallas Morning News right there by the door, brand new, fresh off the press, that said back-to-back champs. And that's something that just, boom, it was imprinted in my mind. Growing up in school, remembering hearing the kids talk about it, watching Dallas, the city of Dallas, blow up because of those 3 Super Bowls in the 90s. I mean, what it did for the Metroplex is just insane.
I want to be part of that.
I think that picture was Irvin and Emmett.
Yes.
Doing the whole.
Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yep. It
I want
was.
to be part of that.
It'll happen at some point. I don't even know anymore.
Hey, do you know why my favorite number is 33?
Well,
You don't know?
I do.
Larry Bird.
Tony Dorsett.
Tony
baby.
Dorsett.
Tony Dorsett. Y'all know how the Cowboys got Tony Dorsett?
How do you get Tony Dorsett?
Tony Dorsett won the Heisman, and he played for Pittsburgh, and they won the NCAA championship that year. Pittsburgh did that year. I believe it was 1976, 75, 76.
Okay.
Well, that year when he came out for the draft, the Cowboys were picking like, I don't remember, 17th, 18th. There was no chance Dorsett was going to go in the first 2 or 3.
Right.
Well, we made a trade. Back in the day, we didn't trade a lot. We very rarely traded.
Texram.
But we made a trade, jumped up, got Dorsett with the second pick.
Wow.
Quote unquote, the rest is history. The dude was unreal. Tom Landry was kind of set in his ways, and he had his own way of coaching. Dorsett was so good that his plan, he had a very precise, technical running scheme, and the running back had to hit a certain hole.
Yeah.
Well, Dorsett was so quick and so fast, and he ran with so much vision. A reporter asked him one time, said, when you get the ball and hit the line, how many of the opposing defenders do you see? And Dorsett said, I see all 11. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
There's no reason to question him because he was so fast. And the thing about him is 2 steps, he was at his top speed.
Yep.
So he was just unreal quick.
Yeah.
So when he hit the hole, he very rarely had to run over people or whatever because he had already, that vision was
predetermined.
Unreal. He was at such speed, he knew the gaps, knew the lines, and he was just beating people. He was so fun to watch.
Hey, to not reset or anything, but air horn. Line up for the next 30 minutes, 40 minutes. We're going to talk about the Cowboys.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some basketball stuff. We're going to keep you entertained. We're going to talk about life, too. He's got some advice.
Experience.
He's got some wisdom that you can take or you cannot take. Whatever you want to do. There you go. But we're going to talk about a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and we're going to keep you entertained for another, 30, 45 minutes. So
For sure. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is Harbaugh coming out of Michigan and going to LA. What are your thoughts on that whole thing? Because I know I talked to you, Mac, about it, and you said no, he's not going to leave Michigan. He's got a good thing going there. And now he's hired by the Chargers. He's going to LA. He's back in California. What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
Harbaugh.
Yeah, no, it's a
hard
tough name.
So you brought up, I'm okay with him leaving Michigan.
Okay.
But you just reminded me of they played in the Super Bowl in 2012.
In 2000, where am I now? Yeah, 2012 Super Bowl 47 in New Orleans. The NFL named it the Harbaugh Bowl because it was John Harbaugh's Ravens versus Jim Harbaugh's 49ers. John,
crazy. And are we going to have that Super Bowl this year?
In my opinion, I believe it's going to be Ravens 49ers. We'll get to our picks later because I know we're a little bit different on that. But I mean, obviously,
Jim Harbaugh is the new coach at the Chargers.
Yeah.
49ers coach is I always get them confused.
Is Shanahan? Yeah. So Jim got ousted from 49ers because they couldn't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They felt like it was more or less the head coach wasn't getting them over that hurdle that they needed to go over, which ironically they still haven't won a Super Bowl since he left the 49ers.
Yeah.
And Jim had them in one of their best runs in the playoffs. I believe he was 5-3 in the playoffs. He had a total record for 4 years of him coaching for San Francisco, 44-19-1. Now, who does that sound like? Like, it sounds like a pretty damn good head coach, right?
Are we talking about our current Cowboys coach?
Could be. So he gets kicked out, and he goes to Michigan, and you see the rest is history. He goes and wins a natty, right? So he's out there popping champagne for the national championship, and then gets brought back in.
Because Lane Kiffin's coming into his conference.
There's some things going on there. I don't know if I want to say he's scared so much as I think he put Michigan in a bind there with the whole legality things that were going on, and definitely some under the sheets things going.
Yeah, you ain't winning.
Some stealing signs, maybe.
There's some things that you can definitely say he put that team in a bad way. But
Belichick. Yeah.
It is what it is. In any sport, you can find coaches that do that. But yeah, now he's back with LA Chargers, and that means that they've decided that Kellen Moore can go out and interview for an offensive coaching position elsewhere. What are your thoughts on Jim coming in?
Hold on, Kellen Moore's not going to stay with him?
There's
what the new coach wants.
Yeah, he's free to interview, which all the signs say that Jim's going to want to bring in his own group.
Yeah, his own guy.
That's how that works. Like McCarthy, when they announced Mike McCarthy was coming to Dallas, he said the very first thing I said was, I want to keep Kellen Moore on.
McCarthy was in a barn.
Yeah. Yeah. And he wasn't watching film for a whole year.
Yeah.
Contrary to what he actually said he was doing. But anyway, they make that announcement pretty quick. And Jim didn't come out and say, hey, I'd like to keep Kellen Moore on my staff. It was kind of a, hey, Kellen, come see the owner real quick. He wants to talk to you. And it was like, hey, if you want to go elsewhere and seek an interview, go ahead. If you've got people calling you, go ahead. Because they're going to let Jim decide what he wants to do with the franchise.
And hopefully that works out for Herbert.
Hey, I mean, something's got to happen now.
He's an all right quarterback. Hopefully
Herbert,
it can take care of him.
I have my things about Herbert. I hate that everybody props him up like he's Patrick Mahomes when clearly he's Phillip Rivers. That's
a good analogy. That's a good analogy right there.
I mean, they really literally have the exact same guy. He got high potential, high arm strength, high IQ, just not great when the time gets critical.
That's true. Good point.
Yeah. I mean, and read the Bible every day and pray in every locker room you step in. I mean, I guess that's the Phillip Rivers way. He'll have a similar path. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Rivers ever won a Super Bowl?
No. He went into the playoffs and everybody was really looking to get him all the accolades and all the praises, and everybody really propped him up that year, but I think they lost.
Did Joe Flacco ever win a Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he won with the Ravens. That was that year, 2012, with John Harbaugh.
2 points real quick.
Yep.
2 points.
Yep.
When you start talking about Rivers and him never winning and Herbert and all that, I can't help but think back to Danny White.
Oh, yeah.
Championships in a row. Couldn't get over the hump.
Yeah.
Great quarterback, great stats, better than people argue better than Roger, but just couldn't get over the hump. Right. And that's where I started getting into and realizing that, a lot of it is about the team. Yes, you got to have the quarterback, but it's my belief that who was better, Belichick or Brady? Well,
Yeah.
we found out real quick.
Yeah.
Belichick couldn't do it without Brady. Brady
Yeah.
did it with Belichick. But it's a
Brady
combination.
did it without Belichick.
And what, there you go. And what percentage, all that kind of thing, who's to say? I'm just saying Danny White was a great quarterback.
Absolutely.
Now, second point, we're talking about Harbaugh. We're talking about not being able to get over the hump, that kind of thing. One interesting thing that not a lot of people, you guys may not realize, Tom Landry, he would not have made it in the current NFL.
No.
Because the reason being, it took him 5 years to win.
Yeah.
And
I look at him like a giant.
Like what?
He's a good coach. Like he was a great coach.
Right.
He was.
And Murchison, the owner at the time, recognized it. And the thing that you guys may not know is Murchison, after there was some controversy after those first 3, 4, 5 years, and Murchison said, no, we're not going to have all this. Gave him a 10-year contract without winning. And you talk about controversy at the time. That was huge.
Right.
Signed me to a 10-year contract, and Murchison said in a quote, he said, I'll never find anybody better than Tom.
A brand new franchise. A brand new franchise. We were implemented in the 60s, in 1960. So we were still a brand new franchise, yeah.
So only 5 years in, they hadn't won.
Yeah.
So he gets his 10-year contract, big controversy, and he's locked in for 10 years, and the rest is history, baby.
Right.
29 years he coached, 20 winning seasons, made the playoffs. It's the numbers are ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
But point is, he would have never made it in today's NFL because he didn't win quick enough.
Right.
Which brings me back to my point about where I was about ready to throw everything out the window after that loss.
I've thrown it out the window.
But I go back to that, and I go back to thinking, again, the Cowboy Apologist coming out of me, that we're better off. Think about it for a minute. How many in a row did Belichick win? We're going to fire him every time he loses, doesn't win a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Like Tom made he would. We're going to fire him every time he doesn't win a Super Bowl? I mean, there's only one team at the end of every season that's happened.
Yeah.
And so I think I survived the 4-12, the 8-8 multitudes of seasons, and the seasons we didn't have a quarterback. Go down the list. And I just think we're better off. I know, I get you guys, the patience. I get it. Y'all, the microwave generation. Everything's got to happen right now. I get it. But it took time back then. And as long, like it's been said many times by many different people, you got to be on the porch if you're going to kick in the door. If you're not on the porch every season, you're never going to kick in the door. But we're on the porch.
Yeah.
So we can't start over. We can't throw everything away and start over. I've done that too many times with the Wade Phillips, the Chan Galeys.
Oh, man.
Quincy Carters, go down the list, Chad Hutchinson.
Yep.
The ingredients, we just got to keep getting on the porch.
Well, I hope
tapping on that door.
When I'm the GM, I hope that if as long as I'm on the porch, you keep my job. You keep paying me the money. Don't shut me down.
Right.
Ain't that right, Brandon?
I mean, hey, something's got to happen, right? I mean,
I'm showing up to work every day. I'm doing my thing. Pay me the money.
At the end of the day, like I completely understand and agree with you. It's been such a rough road, and I do understand your perspective of the microwave generation where it has to be now. And you're not wrong. Like, unfortunately, that's the generation that we live in. Everybody wants to have their team get to the ultimate goal as quickly as possible. And unfortunately, in today's society, everything is so far advanced. All of these kids coming out of college, they want it now, and they're not going to sit back and put their entire career on the line because, you know what, this team drafted me. No, they're going to say, you know what, you guys aren't doing what I need you to do for me, so I'm going to tell my manager I want out, and then I'll go and complain, or I'm just not going to play.
The freaking transfer portal.
Yeah, it's in every sport.
They're transferring. There's no loyalty. Yeah,
it's in every sport now. There's so many things. I know we talked a little bit about that last time, so I don't want to go too far into that because that's a whole rant I could go in. But absolutely, when you look at the 3 back-to-back 12-win seasons, you're right. You're on the front porch. Unfortunately, there's a bigger dog that's always sitting in front of that door that's always nipping at your ankles every time you step your right foot on that doorstep. And it's not just San Francisco. Now we've got to look at another thing that's in our way is Green Bay all over again.
My thing is we're always on the front porch, and somebody's always there.
Yep.
To beat us down.
Yep.
And this year, okay, so think about this. This year, there's a couple giants out there we could go get to maybe make things different.
Which we're going to talk about that. I got one in mind.
We're talking about it right now. We're going to talk about it right now.
Okay.
Because
you gotta have we're over the cap already. You gotta be careful.
What I'm saying is, let's get do we need to keep that?
We can have that.
Working out. Is that working out?
We can have that conversation.
No, I remember Quincy Carter. Yeah, dude, those days sucked. Sure.
Right, Chad Hitson.
I know.
Ryan Leaf, Clint Sterner.
Dak has talked about depression and just not being able to
elevate.
Man, my kids are going crazy in there right now. Hopefully y'all can't hear that.
No.
But if you're already dealing with that and then a pressure situation comes up and he can't handle life in general,
it may be a bad mix.
That's what I'm saying. And now he's a good dude. I love him.
Yeah.
I love him.
Personality, leadership, all of it.
Love him very much. And he's a good role model. Like he does right, you know?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's about winning.
Yep.
And can you win in pressure situations? Can you drive us down the field like Tony Romo used to do?
Breaks my heart, man. It breaks my heart to talk like this because I start thinking about, is it the 49ers that shipped Garoppolo after the Super Bowl because he didn't think he could win with them? There's a lot of people, there's a lot of teams that have done that. The Rams got rid of Goff. Well, look where he is now. But anyway, the point is,
the Lions got rid of Stafford.
Kick him to the curb because you can't win with them. I feel you. I feel that. And then the other point is you got people like Aikman. That excel under pressure, that are better under pressure.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Above because of the pressure. Then you got, I hate to say it, but you got people like that hasn't shown that yet. Now, I say that to say this. If you know a little about history about Peyton Manning, there was that knock against Peyton Manning for a while.
Yep.
He couldn't win the big one. He crumbled under the pressure. Well, we found out real quick that he made it over the hump and he is what he is. So I'm just saying, it's hard for me to argue.
And they didn't change coaches, did they? No, they stayed with Tony Dungy all the time.
And that's the thing. It's hard for me. I can really see you. I can understand where you're coming from, and I can feel you. But we're not there yet, man.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. Now, when are we there? I don't know. Next year? Now, the problem, if you really want to talk...
here it is. Next year, Cowboys Super Bowl.
Here's the deal.
No, it's going to be 8-9. They're going to be 8-9.
Let's go there real quick. Even though I'm the Cowboy apologist, I'm also I'm a realist. I'm the Cowboy realist.
Yeah.
So I'm already fully prepared. I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be a regression next year.
Oh, absolutely.
This team is not going to.
We finished first in our division, so that means we're going to get a harder schedule.
Play schedule. Last year, think about the draft last year.
Yeah.
We got nothing. We got Monty Smith. He did nothing. You don't feel that, but a couple, 2-3 years later, we're going to feel it next year.
Yeah.
Granted, we're getting Diggs back, but we don't have anybody to step in.
It's going to take moves. Jerry picking up Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and that was what I was going to get to, because I still have this overlining thought process in my mind that there's a way you go out and you get Stephon Diggs this year in the offseason from Buffalo.
You don't need a receiver, though.
Yeah, you do. Michael Gallup is not going to be the guy. And look at what Philadelphia did with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Having two number ones on the team at the same time, on the field at the same time, and then you're able to get Brandon Cooks back in, you've got three receivers that can just absolutely ball. And now the thing is,
I'll just tell you right now,
I am too, because I love the kid. I was very excited when they drafted him out of Colorado. I was very, very excited about him getting in. He worked hard his first 4 years, and then it just didn't go well. After the injury, he never came back.
So this moves us in the Cowboys offseason, okay?
Yeah.
And the tweets that the siblings are tweeting out,
Yep.
We're getting ready for the draft.
Yep.
People are CD Lamb, I think it's CD Lamb's mother.
Yep. CeeDee Lamb's mom.
Yeah.
Micah's brother.
Carson's brother.
And Dak's brother.
So at the draft, you're Jerry Jones. This is all going on. What are we doing? Are we drafting a running back?
I'm going to pause you for a second. Because the first thing I do if I'm Jerry Jones is I bring Dak Prescott in, I bring Micah Parsons in, and I bring in CD. And I'd sit him down in my office. I say, look here.
We're building a team around you.
This is what we're going to do. And you guys are not going to sit there, okay, and have your fellow kin talk bad about the Dallas Cowboys while we're going into the offseason, all right? So let me be perfectly trite with you. We are not going to continue to have all of this social media outlash against the Dallas Cowboys. Am I completely clear with you? If you want to stay on my football team, you'd better get your family's asses in line. That's what I would do if I'm Jerry Jones.
I love it.
Can't
argue with that. Hey, quick little stat.
I forgot we had the fake Jerry on.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's beautiful. Little stat real quick. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but the Dallas Cowboys linebacking core was last 32nd in the league this last year. The defensive line, the defensive tackle position specifically, were 28th in the league last year. So let me tell you real quick.
I thought our defense was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
doomsday.
Here's the deal. If Will McClay and Mike McCarthy don't get a kick at another Micah Parsons, basically, a starting linebacker, we need 3 starters out of this draft. 3 starters.
Don't forget about
take Van Der Esch's shoes.
Yep.
We got to have O-line help now. I'm not even getting into running back.
Yeah.
And then we got to have a D-line presence.
Okay, so that means so we're drafting that and we're signing Derrick Henry.
So here's my thought, because Cowboys have already started flipping switches, which is kind of one of the things on my notes on contracts. They're kicking the tires basically on the possibility of
already, right?
Yeah. So we are over 19 million. So the thought process is they're already starting to kick the tires on restructuring Trayvon Diggs and Zach Martin's contracts to try to reduce some of their salary so that we can make some extra cash there.
Because I'm not paying Dak.
I don't pay Dak this year. I don't pay Dak this offseason. I completely flat out go to Micah Parsons and I say, if you're going to be a part of this football team, if you still want to be a part of this football team, and I wait to have this conversation until after Dan Quinn gets settled. Either he's in or he's out. Because the word came out that Micah said if Dan Quinn goes somewhere, Dan Quinn might bring me with him. Okay, well then, bye. But if that's not the case, if he's going to stay with us, he made mention of it. We don't know yet. But, I mean, the whole thing is, I'd go to him and
Atlanta.
I work something out to try to, right.
If you do the math real quick, he's not going anywhere now.
He's not. But, I mean, if you can work some kind of a deal out early, get ahead of that, because he's on a down year. He didn't do very well this year, even though everybody said, oh, he's the greatest defensive player in the league. No, he's not. He didn't do as well as he should have done for his third season. Yeah, if you can get something worked out with him and you get him somebody to work one-on-one with him in the offseason to get him to figure out how to get through that line a little bit cleaner, stop the run, shit, please, something, then maybe you can work out a deal early and not hit him at a full all-pro season next year, possibly. Because while we say there's a very, very good chance that they regress this season, let's not forget, 3 years ago they finished 12-5. They had a number 1 schedule and still went out on that number 1 schedule and performed at a 12-5 rate. So while you're saying there's a chance that they go 8-9, there is. However, there's still a very real possibility that they still get 11 wins. They just fall flat on their ass on the fucking playoffs.
Well,
that's the problem.
The bad the Eagles are now.
Yep.
They're in disarray.
Oh, yeah.
You got, the division should be ours easily. So just for fun.
For the last 20 years, there hasn't been a repeat winner.
You know what? The Eagles went 60 years without winning a Super Bowl, and they won the Super Bowl. I'm not into trends like that to that level. Yeah, it hasn't happened in 20 years, but, I mean, who would think you would have the odds of the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers playing in 2 Super Bowls within a 15-year period of each other? It's about to possibly happen. So, I mean, it is what it is. There's a chance we can go in the division because our division is so bad, but I don't know.
Did the Patriots win the last 20 years because of Brady, or was it their defense?
It's like we went over last time. Belichick is a great defensive mind. Brady is a great offensive mind. Those two working together made the Patriots work so well for 20 plus years.
Agreed.
Belichick can't do it on his own. That's why I said
So
if
why can't the Cowboys figure something out to like Dak's good, okay, but our defense, Dak can't win the games.
no,
The defense has got to win the games, right?
it's going to have to be balanced.
Talking about regression real quick, again, the regression thing. Do y'all remember 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago when we were the worst in the league as far as turnovers go?
Yep.
At the time, a lot of people said, if you remember or not, turnovers are cyclical.
Yep.
The pendulum is going to swing. Well, the pendulum swung the last couple of years, and it to benefit,
Diggs,
to benefit those guys.
Yeah.
And my point is, it's going to regress. And all those games we won with those pick sixes and those turnovers and all that, that pendulum's going to swing back to the middle.
Right.
And that's going to be another link in the regression chain, if you will.
Yeah.
So the defense, Dak can't win the game. The defense can't win. It's a team game.
Yeah.
I've always said it's a team game.
All three phases.
It's all three phases. Got to win all three phases. I agree. But that's my fear is we won too many games with those turnovers. So there's going to be some regression.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We got to draft.
Got to draft well.
Good. Let's get a running back from free agency.
Yeah.
And then let's see what the Cowboys can do come training camp. Let's go to training camp.
And
we should go to training camp.
If we can get some time off, I'd love to do it.
Training camp in the background.
I'd love to do it. So one of the things that you have to remember is there's going to be some star running backs coming out of the draft. You've got Derrick Henry that's possibly not going to get re-signed to a deal with Tennessee, so he's going to be available. You've got Trayvon Diggs coming back off of his ACL. He's not going to perform the same. We have to acknowledge that he's not going to be the same guy for the first
Wait, are you saying Pollard wasn't the same guy coming back from his injury?
No, absolutely not. He has not gotten back to his original form, and I don't believe he will ever be what the Cowboys thought he would be because he needs somebody that has more poundage on them. To get up through the middle and make those holes and crush that defensive line to give Pollard that explosive burst when he goes in on second and third downs. Tony's not the guy that's going to be able to, as much as I hate saying it, just like the Michael Gallup thing is, I wanted him to be able to do well. I just knew he wouldn't. So Trey coming back, not going to be great for the first half of the year. He's going to find himself. He'll rebound. Michael Gallup possibly gone. But remember, we also have a linebacker that we grabbed from Texas that's coming in, that's on some fresh legs, that just came back. Overshown. I am so excited. Me as a Longhorn fan, I was really excited to see Overshown jump in this year. He got hurt in the preseason, wasn't able to go, so we lost him for the year. Unfortunately, him aligned with the whole Trayvon Diggs being injured during this year. Next year, they're not going to look great starting the season. But I do agree, linebacker has to be a focus. Running back has to be the main priority for your offense, definitely. I would say in the first or second round.
O-line issues too. We got to do some O-line issues.
In the first or second round.
And is Zach Martin done?
No. Zach Martin has not made mention of retiring or made any kind of.
Tyron
Smith, I think it's time to say, hey, big fella, thank you. Hall of Famer, deuces. I just feel like it's time for him to go ahead and step away. I'd love to say, hey, you don't have to practice all year as long as you can stay healthy for 17 games. But even in the likelihood of him not practicing every week to prep for a game, there's still the chance that come Friday, oh man, I was going to get in my pickup truck and I rolled my ankle. Well, guess what, big fella? You just hurt the team. So why don't you go ahead and retire?
Now, I have heard that what they're thinking about doing with him, and this is the problem, maybe paying the guy too much, but I have heard that they're going to have him as the swing tackle. They'll get the 5 starters and he'll be a fill-in case of an injury. I've heard that.
So I would. That? Yeah, that's the thing. I'd be all for it if he's only going to go in on first and second downs. mainly your run plays your pass plays that you have lined out when you're behind. I'm all for that, but again, like you said, the pay has to be structured right. If he's willing to take a pay cut, go for it. But you've got to have a replacement because there's nobody on this roster right now that is a Tyron Smith.
Can fill those shoes.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody can fill those shoes.
Yeah.
That dude was a beast.
Damn sure can't wear a knee brace on your elbow and call it a damn day. Like, it's just not going to happen.
In his prime, he was unreal.
Absolutely. So we spoke a little bit about this defense and where we're kind of heading and what we need to be focused on. Quinn has an opportunity to go to Washington for a second in-person interview.
He doesn't want Washington.
No.
I think he's smarter than that.
And honestly, I know we said what we said last week, and I still stand firm on it. I think it's time for Dan Quinn to find something else. I don't want him in Washington.
I think he's a good defensive coordinator.
He's a great defensive coordinator.
He's right here with the Cowboys for the next 5 years.
We've got to change the whole being able to stop the run, though.
He's a great.
I think this year in our draft, that's where we start. We start getting.
Man, I forgot about Overshown. I'm so glad you brought him up
Yep.
because I'm expecting big things from that dude.
Absolutely.
Big things.
So you're not going into the draft looking for 2 linebackers. You're looking for 1. You want to replace Leighton Vander Esch because he's most likely going to have to retire.
Yes.
Because San Francisco ended his career. We'll just call it what it is, right? The man got dropped on his damn head. San Francisco said, F you, pay me, get out. And that's
Michael
it.
Irvin.
Yeah. So you've got a guy that's going to come in and kind of shore up some of that back end from Micah Parsons to allow Micah to do what he needs to be doing. But then you still need somebody to come in to take over for Leighton in that middle linebacker spot. There's got to be somebody out there that's going to fall to us. I'm hoping that that's going to be the case. But with Dan Quinn going to Washington for his second interview, that's not somebody I want coaching for Washington because I need Washington to stay over there.
Irrelevant.
Irrelevancy.
Agreed.
So with the Cowboys, the last 2 or 3 years in the draft, they've always, I think Jerry has just stayed where they've drafted. They haven't moved up and they haven't gone back, I don't think.
So I think they moved back last year, but it was for a mid or late round pick. I can't remember. I seem to recall something of them moving back.
For Smith?
From meth? What?
I should know that. I should know that.
They moved back and they still got Ozzie Smith or whatever.
Mozzie?
Smith.
Like
They
I
didn't
said,
draft him.
I can't remember. I can't remember where they drafted and where they moved.
I want to say the last 3 or 4 years they've been
Good pass.
They haven't moved up. They haven't moved back.
Mozzie Smith in the first round, the 26th pick.
Mm-hmm.
Second round, they took Schoonmaker.
Yep.
So I think this year, I really do. I think this year, I think they might try to make some moves.
If they do, they'll move back. They won't move up.
No.
Because a lot of the people that they're going to have high on their draft picks are going to be gone. It's the story of what we deal with. We don't move up. We move back.
Well, we got to move forward.
We've got the 24th
Because we got to win.
I mean, hey.
58th pick and the 87th pick this year. So that's 3. Those 3 we have to hit on. My point is, last year that was Mozzie, Schoonmaker, and Overshown.
Yep.
Well, Schoonmaker, Mozzie did nothing. Overshown was injured. Schoonmaker's an average at best. Maybe he's a year or 2 away.
Ferguson is your tight end.
Yeah. Yeah. So this year, those first 3, I'm arguing we've got to get 3 starters out of those to make up for last year.
Yeah.
We've got to. So we can't miss this year.
No.
Will McClay's got to step up to the plate.
What you hope for is Mike and Schottenheimer have the ability to work Schoonmaker in to get him some plays, to get him some publicity, get him some limelight. That way, going into the end of his rookie deal, you can get him gone without having to pay him and get a compensatory. That would be awesome. But if you just let him fall to the wayside because Ferguson is better and because of Hendershot, nobody sees him, nobody will ever grab him. he'll sit on your practice squad for another 4 years after his rookie deal is up. So you want him to get some plays, you want him to get some yardage and get some good things going for him. But I'm with you, Jim. I don't think he's going to be the best option on our team. I think definitely Ferguson is your guy.
Ferguson's going to be a hawk.
Ferguson is a Kelsey 2.0 in my opinion. I said it all year. Like he's got that dog in him where he's going to go out there, he's going to knock somebody down to get the extra yardage, and he's just got that get up and fight.
We don't have that. We don't really have any. We didn't have anybody like that.
Yeah, he's got the get up and fight in him. So pretty cool there. Let's see what else is on my deal. Atlanta. So obviously I was wrong, so I have to apologize to everybody. I can admit I'll be a bigger man and say Belichick is not going to Atlanta because Raheem Morris is the new head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. So
Raheem Morris, Horn.
You thought Belichick was going.
I honestly, after they said that they were going to do the second interview with Belichick, I presumed that he was going to go to Atlanta. I thought he could actually do really well there because they don't really have anything yet.
I can't believe he's not signed anywhere.
Have y'all heard the rumor, though? Have y'all heard the rumor? Tell me if y'all heard this.
Not going to be our defensive coordinator.
No. Andy Reid, depending on when Kansas City goes out, either in the championship, if they lose Sunday, or if they win Super Bowl, either way, there's rumors that he's going to exit. He's done. And Belichick
goes oh my God.
That's the rumor. That
would be insane. That would be insane.
Nah. I can't buy that one. I
understand. I heard it. You heard it here first. Put it that way.
Yeah. There you go. We can use
Belichick because he wants a Super Bowl because Tom Brady won a Super Bowl without him. Oh man.
Can you imagine Belichick up there on the podium after their first game and he loses and he's like, well, the first thing on my list is I gotta make sure that Taylor Swift isn't up in a damn suite watching the football game, and we're just looking forward to Cleveland. We're just gonna go play Cleveland. I don't have anything else to say.
Hoodie. He's got his hoodie on.
Not in the snow.
Yeah. I don't think the media outlet there in Kansas City right now is going to allow for a Belichick to thrive. He'll get tired of it real quick. He won't be able to change a lot of the narrative there.
So if you were a betting man right now, is he going to be coaching a team next year?
Well, considering that there's only 2 teams still on the docket looking for a head coach, I may have to.
I don't think he is, man.
I may have to back up, or I should say, go back on another thing that I said last week was that Belichick wasn't going to sit out for a year. I think he's about to pull a McCarthy. I think he's going to sit on the couch for a year.
He'll go in the barn?
I mean,
Belichick,
I don't.
What if Belichick and Saban came on our podcast and just joined us all next football season?
Give him a call. Let's see if we can get him in. Book him.
Hey, we were wondering.
You want to come on?
You got nothing going.
ESPN doesn't want to pay
Hold
you.
on. What's their name? The PM. What kind of podcast is
MVP,
it?
baby.
Look, Bill, it's a podcast. It's new and exciting. It's entertaining.
Right,
And
come on.
our hosts look at the cameras because they were requested to. Come join us on our podcast, Bill. We're looking for
We
you.
play air horns and shit.
So yeah, we had a lot of big talks about some things that are going on with the NFL, a lot of big things with the Cowboys. The last thing that I think on my docket that I had, I know we kind of ran a little bit short today, was the playoff picture. I want to get Jim's picks this week because last week Mac and I pretty much aligned on everything we thought was going to happen, and we went 4 for 4 on our picks for the games. So right now with you, I want you to tell me first what your picks are for the AFC and the NFC matchup.
Right now, it's what everybody's been saying all along. It's going to be Baltimore and the 49ers.
It's going to be the NFL logo, Super Bowl logo.
I'm telling you. I mean, I love Mahomes. And
Have you heard about the Super Bowl logo?
I heard the mistake, right?
No. Have you heard the conspiracy?
I heard
Brandon, do you have that up?
It's on last week's podcast. I just encourage people to go back and watch last week's podcast all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be Baltimore. I think it's Lamar Jackson's year. I think he's going to get over the hump this year. Without Tyreek Hill, Kansas City is vulnerable. I think defense at Baltimore defense. So I think all along, I mean, if you'd asked me the last weekend of the regular season, I would have said Baltimore and the Niners.
Yeah.
I was hoping there was an outside chance we could sneak in there.
But, I got the 3 seed versus the 3 seed. KC versus Detroit, baby.
You think really, man? Yeah. That would in my heart wants that. My head says Baltimore and the Niners.
Yeah.
And it's
I would
hard.
love to see the Lions go.
It's hard to go against Kansas City. Detroit's been on a hell of a run. No matter what, making it to the NFC Championship is where we thought we'd be. We thought we would have the exact.
He's been in the NFL for 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years win 6 times.
It's unreal. Brady
and he's from Allen, Texas.
Yeah.
Tom Mahomes not from Allen, Texas.
Oh, where's he from?
He's from White Wright, Texas.
Yeah,
He's
White
from
Wright.
Texas.
White Wright.
Texas.
Who's from Allen?
Cardinals. What's his face?
Kyler Murray.
Oh, Kyler Murray. Yeah.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah. So going to be a fun weekend this weekend watching those two matchups. I'm excited to see how that game turns out. Absolute last thing. What are your thoughts on the Pro Bowl? Do you guys watch the Pro Bowl at all anymore?
I'm
they made it really interesting with the flag football.
I'm disappointed, man. I'm so disappointed.
The flag football.
I don't know the answer. I don't know the right answer is the problem. I like the. I used to. You don't even remember.
Did that go out there?
It's kind of sad the way it's gotten.
Yeah.
And that it's gotten. It's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the things they're trying to do now with the skills competition. Maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. You can't play football.
I think the way to do it. I think the way to do it is you do it at the beginning of the season to kick off the NFL.
That's so weird. Are you saying like the Hall of Fame game be the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, maybe. Or like the first week of the NFL, instead of it being the first week of the NFL, you do like a profession, like the MVPs, the All-Stars. You play a game against that, like the NBA and the NHL and all other pro athletes do. But you do it in a way like it's like 7-on-7.
Okay.
Somebody still tweaks a knee, blows out a knee, and you're screwed. You can't. I like the way hockey does the skills competition.
Mm-hmm.
Do some skills competition. with
QBs,
speed,
but you
running,
can still get hurt doing that.
Yeah, you can. That's
So,
the problem. Therein lies the rub.
Here, throw this disc. Whoever throws the disc the furthest wins. And then quarterback goes out there and throws the disc for 73 yards.
I still think you do it before the season and not after the season. You didn't make the playoffs. I don't want to go to Hawaii and compete. Like, that's not what I'm doing this sport for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or wherever they do it. Do it to kick off the season like, oh, yeah, I'm an all-star this season, and I'm going to be looked at, and people look up to me, and, blah, blah, blah. And the first week of the NFL is like a skills competition, QBs versus other QBs, and be like, oh, yeah, and now when you play that person that beats you in that skills competition, there's a little hype behind it.
Yeah. And then do like a 7-on-7.
There.
Yeah. I mean, hey, those are all things that could potentially come to fruition. But we've gotten those two things out of the way. Those are the next two big things for the NFL coming up this season. And then it's on to the Super Bowl. So really excited about what the Super Bowl matchup is going to be. We'll get into that next week, pending, obviously, if you can be available for our podcast next week, that'd be great. If not, then we'll figure out another way. I know Max got a hip surgery coming up. So if he can over to the camera to get a good seat ready for us, then we may do another one next week. If not, then we'll figure something else out. But that's been our time. Whatever topics that you guys
appreciate the invite, really enjoyed it. Thank y'all for having me,
dude. A pleasure having you. That's the big thing is being able to get guests in. That's going to be a big thing for us going forward. Any topics that anybody has watching this podcast, if you'd like to drop it down in the comments down below, shoot us an email. Our email will be in the comments below. Make sure you send that to us so that we can add it. And then if anybody who obviously wants to be a part of this podcast, you can apply through email as well, and we'll see if we can get you on. But with that, Mac, you got anything else for us?
No, I just want to play the air horn.
Yeah. Jim, you good?
I'm good, man. Appreciate it, fellas.
No problem. All right, well, this has been the temporary called MVP podcast. We'll catch back up with you next time. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Hang out with your wang out.
Right. so much stuff. Like the one thing
I know you didn't get
your first
to.
memory.
Yeah.
You remember all that stuff? You know, I kind of had that. But I thought that was interesting. Your first memory, going game, Hunter and Romo's blocked field goal that could have won it and all that. Extra point. You called it. You remember calling it? Walking out of the room? And then come back in and sure enough, he missed it. You said, you're going to miss it. You were panicked and you walked out. And
Romo?
Yeah.
And then I called the World Series.
The drop?
Yeah. Allie and Golden were pissed.
You got to quit it, man.
I was like, we're going to fuck this up. Because, like, there was people on base, and all we had to do was get one more out. I was like,
they were one more strike. We were one strike away twice.
I was like, we're going to fuck this up. It's over. I went outside and smoked a cigarette, and they told and came out and almost whooped my ass.